Muy buenas a todos y bienvenidos a Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Vamos a hacer el episodio o el capítulo de El Tribunal, a ver cómo nos sale. Voy a intentar ir bastante directo a las puntillas, a ver si sale bien. Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Will Powers. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. Your opening statement, please. The prosecution will show the court that at 2:30 p.m. on October 15th, the defendant, Mr. Will Powers, killed fellow actor Jack Hammer in Studio 1 of Global Studios. It is impossible for anyone else to have committed this heinous crime. The evidence presented during the trial will all point to this fact. I see. Very well, I would like to move on to some testimony. Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution may call its first witness. Very well, I'll call our most familiar face, Detective Gamshu, to the stand. Venga, Gamshu, haz lo tuyo. Detective, if you would briefly describe this case to the court. Yes, sir. I'll explain with the guide map here. To understand this case, it's important to grasp the layout of the studio, see? Here is the employee area. The actors did a run-through of their action scenes during the morning here. This is the main gate to the studios. The security lady that works at the studios was here at 1 p.m. on that day. Past the security station there is a gate, see? Past that are the studios. And here it is, Studio 1. This is the scene of the murder where the body was found. Now, on that day of the murder, October 15, there were only 3 people there. Here. The victim, Jack Hammer, the defendant, Will Powers, and a young woman, the production assistant. All the production staff were in the employee area until noon. Then after lunch, the victim, Jack Hammer, went to Studio 1. Right after that, at 1 p.m., the security lady got to the guard station. Now, jump ahead to later that day at 5 p.m., the production staff came to the Studio 1 to perform the rehearsal. Needless to say, the rehearsal was cancelled. They found the victim. The time of death was 2:30. The samurai spear found locked in the victim's chest was the murder weapon. That's the case, in brief. Anyone like to hear that again? Should I listen to that whole thing again? No. Yo estoy de acuerdo. I think I can probably remember that. Ya sabemos la historia, me la acaban de contar todo bien. So the murder weapon was a spear. How medieval. Samurai spear. Vale. Your Honor, this case is quite simple if you ask one question. And that question is, what did the security lady at the guard station see? Understood. Let's call the security officer to the stand. Venga ya, siguiente. Venga. Señora, le voy a pillar enseguida. Will the witness declare her name? ¿Qué ha pasado? Gente. My, aren't you a handsome fellow? I'm afraid I'm a bit flustered. Your name, please. Oh, Jerry, no need for you to be embarrassed. Just call me Graham. Your name, please. Este tío siempre tiene problemas, con que la gente le diga su nombre. Seems Edgeworth has a bit of trouble getting... Acabo de decir eso. Wendy Oldback. Hostia, que se llama Oldback de verdad. Pensaba que era un insulto. So just call me Grandma. My name is one of them. Not really. Still, the other children would make fun of me, believe it. But there was this one boy, the captain just says, he called me an old bag, just cried out, objection! Objection! I object to the witness' talkativeness. Objection sustained. The witness will refrain from rambling on the stand. I was just getting to the good part, dearie. Perhaps we can get to this testimony. De momento esto, le digo, Edgeworth me gusta mucho como antagonista, me gusta bastante porque es puñetero, pero le pasa cada cosa que vamos. Now, the witness was stationed at the main gate on the day of the murder, correct? Yes, see, I was. And to get to the scene of the murder, someone would have to pass by you. You know your stuff, dearie? You may begin your testimony. She sure is one hell of an old bag. The testimony, venga. A ver contradicciones, ¿eh? On the day of the murder, I arrived at the guard station at 1 p.m. Poor old Hammer and the rest had been doing a run-through there since the morning. I had some errands to run that morning. Anyway, it was at 1 when I got to the guard station. It was at the main gate from then until 5. Now, the murder happened at 2:30 p.m., right? Interesting to me, because a certain man walked by, right? Me at 2. It was Powers, the man right there, and he was heading towards the studio. Vale, tengo dos cosas que yo quiero pillarla, o preguntar. You saw the defendant then. Very well, let's begin the cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. Creo que ya sé cuál es el bueno, pero voy a hacer otra también por si acaso, porque tengo curiosidad. Quiero preguntarle estos errands to do. Hold it right there. What kind of errands? Oh, well, you know. Answer the question. Actually, I was watching poor Hammer and Powers observing, you know. Oh, observing? Weren't you supposed to be at the guard station? Why, snapper! I told you I locked the gate, didn't I? I did my job. I'm not sure your boss would see it that way. Anyway, I always watch Hammer's run-throughs, always. Never missed one in all my years. Whoa, I want to see a Steel Samurai run-through too. You could quit being a spirit medium and take up the guard duty. Not a bad idea. When I go to the guard station, no, it's not interesting to me because at certain... It was Powers. ¿Cómo? Voy a primero hacerle una Q de presionarla. ¿Estás segura que era Powers? You saw Mr. Powers. That's what I said. Got wax in your ears, Sonny? Nick, this is your chance. Yeah, time to pull out the secret weapon. I'll say it again. It was him. ¡Pum! Presento la foto. Objection! ¡Pum! Maravilloso. Let me get this straight, old bag. Mr. Soulbag? You've been saying since yesterday that you saw Mr. Powers, correct? But you're talking about the man in this photo, aren't you? Just a moment, Mr. Wright. Let me see that photo. What is this exactly? None other than the Steel Samurai, defender of Neo-Old Tokyo. Boom. Mrs. Solbach? Is this the Mr. Powers that you saw? Of course. Didn't your mama teach you any sense, Sonny? Anyone can plainly see that's Powers, right? Oh, no, they can't. Well, I mean, I wonder. True, Mr. Powers does play the role of the Steel Samurai. But that doesn't mean Mr. Powers is the Steel Samurai. I know that. I wasn't born yesterday. No one in this court is accusing you of that, Mrs. Witness? Oldback. He's having trouble calling her Oldback, apparently. However, you do not have proof that the person in this photo is Mr. Will Powers, do you? Nosy old man. Of course I have proof. ¿Cómo? What? Even Edgeworth is surprised. The person would like to ask the witness. Please make known all the information in your possession ahead of time. How was I to know everyone would be so nosy? You should be ashamed, all of you. Anyway, I showed that photo to the young detective. He told me this isn't any good as evidence, pal. He didn't even give it a second look. Wow, old Wingback has left even Edgeworth speechless. She's good. Let's hear about your proof then. The man in the photo, venga, next. Tenía un pelo en la boca. Vale, se me ve un poco como mal, pero si pusiera la cámara así, me veríais fenomenal. Voy a hacer un cambio y poner la cámara aquí. Si puedo, no puedo. Lo siento, pero de momento me vais a tener que ver a contraluz. Ay, qué prank. I never say anything I don't mean, mind you. Vaya, that morning, during the run-through of the action scene, I saw Powers trip and fall. He broke one of the props. It was a big mess. Apparently, he sprained his ankle pretty bad. Now look at this picture. You can see he's dragging his leg, see? Clear as day. That's how I knew it was Powers. Happy? So he had sprained his ankle. Very well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. She's got to be hiding something. I'll press her until she squeals. Vale, hay que presionarla aquí a muerte, ¿eh? Porque no me termina de convencer, ¿eh? That's anything no man. That morning the action. I saw Powers trip and fall. A ver si es verdad. Trip and fall? Yes. And to think he is supposed to be the Steel Samurai. What a laugh. So Powers sprained his ankle. I helped make it better for him, of course. You helped make it better? I kissed it where it hurt. Let's just skip over that part, shall we? Where was the assistant then? Oh, her. She was cleaning up backdrops, I think. She didn't know about Powers' ankle. You may continue your testimony. Even one of the props, it was a big mess. He broke a prop? Sure did. His own samurai spear. His samurai spear? The murder weapon? Luckily, I was there with my duct tape to fix it. This strikes me as a significant detail. I'd better write this down in the court record. The murder weapon, a break in the shaft, has been mended with duct tape. Apparently, he sprained his ankle pretty bad. I think we've heard enough, haven't we, Your Honor? Well, there's one thing that bothers me, which is, where is this Steel Samurai costume now? Actually, well, we couldn't find it. We're looking, though. Anyway, that's not important. The witness did see the Steel Samurai, yes? And it is clear that the person in the Steel Samurai suit was Mr. Will Powers. I suppose that's right. Are you sure you're sure, Your Honor? Object, eh? Hold it right there. We keep talking possibilities, but we have to agree that this photo shows the Steel Samurai. Nowhere in this photo can we see Mr. Will Powers. The defense has a point. I also wonder if someone else not caught on camera could have killed Mr. Hammer. We have to consider that possibility also. Then allow me to remove that doubt from your mind, Your Honor. Will the witness continue her testimony, please? No need to ask twice. Witness account. Continuation. Vale, vamos a seguir ahí. Venga, next. The time of poor Hammer's death was 2:30 p.m., true? The only person I saw go to the studio before then was Will Powers. No one else went there. If they had, I would have seen them. So, if no one else went to the studio, then it would have to be this Steel Samurai who did it. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Esto es súper corto, ¿no? Ah, porque es la continuación, es solo segunda parte. A presionar un poquito en todo. Didn't I just explain? I gave them to the young detective, and then, after some rubbish about it being a secret, pal, he told me everything. I see that the Kanshi shares his fellow officers' fondness for donuts. The person I saw go to the studio before was Will Powers. Are you absolutely sure? Oh, quite, Sonny. Nobody suspicious looking passed by at all. Nobody suspicious looking, right? But suspicious looking. What about before you got to the guard station? You mean before 1? Why, everyone was in the employee area before then, and I locked the main gate so no one could get in. Not to mention, if they had, I would have seen them. ¿Cómo lo habría visto? A ver. Are you sure? The witness has answered the question. Anyone going into the studio had to be passed by the witness. That's right, Sonny. You let them have it. Edgy boy? Edgy boy? Old wingback sure has balls, or well, you know what I mean. It has balls. Esta expresión es muy mía, tú, hostia, tú. Que yo la traduzco en inglés y con mi pareja, que hablamos en inglés, pues yo le digo, oh, the balls. Me toca, it touches my balls real bad. Cuando me toca los cojones, pues eso. Tiene huevos y yo, joder. Old wingbacks have a way of skipping over important details after all. Oh, for that matter, entirely forgetting them. How convenient. Something for you to look forward to, perhaps? Presento! It actually reveals the condition in that statement. How exactly? They aren't, are they? No! Ah! I think that won any points with the judge. Tampoco, ¿no? ¿Cómo es? ¿Esta es? Hold on. Look at this photograph one more time. This photo was taken by the camera at the gate for the studios, correct? Yes, sir, Sonny. So, whenever anyone passes by here, it automatically takes a picture. And here I thought you didn't know your head from a hole in the ground. Entonces, ¿cómo? It's also true that the computer in the guard station records all the security cam data. Oh, you know. Entonces, ¿hizo foto de la víctima? If you wanted to work at the studio, we might have an opening. That very computer printed out this photo. Note that on the back of the photo are printed the words Photo 2. Mi madre! Even I know that means it was taken at 2 p.m. on October the 15th. Really, Sonny? Actually, I knew that too. The issue here is the bit at the end where it says photo #2. Photo #2? The computer only held data for one photo on that day. Don't you think that's odd? Shouldn't this photo be photo #1 if it really was the only photo? ¡Oh, hostia! La he pillado, ¿eh? Sin querer, pero la he pillado, ¿eh? Es decir, mi intención era buena, pero la justificación que ha hecho Phoenix, mejor todavía. Order, order! Please tell the court what you mean by this, Mr. Wright. Actually, that's what I want to ask the witness. This evidence shows that not one but two people went to the studio that day. Yet there is only data for one of the photos. Who could have erased the data for the other photo? Only someone with access, the security lady herself. Watch your mouth, wipe snapper. The only person I saw that day was Will Powers. But the camera on the gate fired twice. That means two people went by. Well, yes, that's what it would seem to mean. Can the witness explain this to the court? I don't understand these new funked computer things. Edgy boy, help! Believe me, I want to, but I don't know what this means either. Some help you are. You're a wipe snapper too. Wipe snapper? Something the matter, Mr. Oldby? Mrs. Oldby? Oh, that's right. I just remember something. Let me guess. Someone else passed by the gate? Someone other than the Steel Samurai? Well, I suppose you could put it that way. Ah, I see. Your testimony, please. Venga, round 4. The other person. Every day, after I finish my guard duties, I have one important job to do. I go through the photos recorded on the security computer and check them. I throw out any photos that are unsuspicious looking, you see? Come to think of it, now I remember throwing out one photo that day. Mrs. Oldback, this is the first I've heard of this. Well, of course, Sonny. I've only just remembered it. Right. Anyway, Mr. Wright, please begin the cross-examination. Well, I'd say this was a turn for the unexpected, but I kind of expected this. A ver, vamos a presionarla un poco, ¿eh? A ver si es verdad. Hold it right there. Another job? That's right. I checked all the people that passed by the main gate that day. I looked closely at every one of the photos that the security camera takes. Do you back up all of the security camera data? Well, they keep telling me to do. Yes, but those computers are just so frustrating. I throw out any fixtures. ¿Como cuál? How exactly do you determine what isn't suspicious looking? Oh, you can tell by looking at their faces, for the most part. For the most part? This is a murder trial, Mrs. Oldback. Well, I didn't touch that suspicious-looking Will Powers photo, did I? I think she's missing the point. Come to think of it, I remember throwing out one photo. A ver, ¿cuál es? Well, who in the heck was in that photo you raised? A fanboy. Fanboy? Still samurai fanboys. Real freaks, if you ask me. They get information about that rehearsal from gosh knows where. They're always hanging about. One was there that day. Wait a second, didn't you just say no one else could get in? I locked the main gates so no one could get in. Those were your words. Well, if you must know, there's a drain that goes into the employee area. Ay, es que os lo he dicho. The grate has been loose for a while. It leads outside and well, that's where they come in. They come in through the drain? I told you they were freaks. Oh, and? They are kids, children, whippersnappers, or kids? So on the photo that you erased, he was a boy, probably 2nd or 3rd grade. What? Order! Let me get this straight. You saw 2 people pass by the gate on their way to the studios that day. One was the steel samurai dragging his leg. The other was a boy who looked to be in about 2nd or 3rd grade. Oh yes, well, we see his type there every day. Can't stop him, can't catch him. A boy in 2nd or 3rd grade? I assume it would be hard, if not impossible, for a young boy to wield the samurai spear. Impossible, I'd think. It's quite heavy. Right. As I said, I didn't pay him much mind. That's why I raised the data. Nick, what's going on? I mean, the boy was there, that makes him a suspect. Yeah, and they're already trying to unsuspect him. This court will take a 5-minute recess. I want the defense and the prosecution to consider this new information, and no forgetting vital information this time. Vamos a hacer un break de 5 minutos. Seguramente 25 minutos aquí en el vídeo tampoco es tanto. Pero bueno. October 18th, 11:08 AM. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Mr. Powers? Yes? Tell me straight. Were you really in your dressing room? You didn't go to the studio? I didn't go to the studio. I was sleeping, honest. So who was the steel samurai in that security photo? How should I know? The steel samurai costume was off in the corner of the dressing room. Anyone could have walked in and taken it, really. What? You should take better care of that stuff. I couldn't imagine anyone would want to steal a steel samurai costume. So where does this leave me? It doesn't look good. You're the only likely suspect right now. Nick? What are we going to do? First, we play for more time. We'll start targeting someone else that could conceivably have done this. Right, and it will take them so long to shoot us down that we can get another day. Right, but if we pick the wrong person, we might lose on the spot. You don't sound very optimistic. I'm not optimistic at all, actually. Hey, Nick, it's time. Okay, let's go. What does that mean? Please don't sigh like that. Vale, vamos a continuar. No, voy a seguir grabando, ¿vale? Voy a dejar con el vídeo. Pero si se alarga mucho la cosa, yo qué sé, son 25 minutos más, pues a lo mejor corto un poquito el vídeo, ¿vale? Ya veremos. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Mr. Will Powers. Mr. Edgeworth, will you present the prosecution's thoughts on this matter? But the prosecution's thoughts are simple. Nothing has changed. The other person who went to the studio was a boy of roughly 10 years of age. The photo we do have may not be hot evidence, but there is still no one else that could have committed this crime. I call for a verdict of guilty for the defendant, Mr. Will Powers. Very well. Mr. Wright, your thoughts? The defense disagrees with the prosecution's claim. There is another person who could have committed this crime. Order! Interesting. Let us hear who you have in mind, however. Be aware that this court does not look kindly on accusing the innocent. If you accuse someone who is obviously innocent, you will be penalized. Right, great, as if the stakes weren't high enough. So who was this person other than Mr. Powers that could have committed the murder? The great schoolboy. It was the great schoolboy. Why isn't anyone saying anything? Bah! Are you seriously suggesting the boy did it, Mr. Wright? Great schoolboy kills veteran action star with spear? For one thing, the murder weapon was with a steel samurai. Would you care to explain just how the boy would have obtained it from him? Maybe that was a dumb move on my part. Maybe. How about absolutely, Nick? Mr. Wright? I'm afraid I have to pronounce you as I warned. ¿Cómo? Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Well, maybe we go. This fight isn't over yet. If you one more chance, please. Very well, go ahead. The assistant girl. It was the assistant. The steel samurai costume was in his dressing room. She stole it, and in doing so, she became the steel samurai. So you're saying the steel samurai in the picture is really the assistant? That's correct, Your Honor. Objection? If you're serious, you've got guts, Mr. Wright. Remember that photo? Wasn't the steel samurai a little lame? He was dragging his foot. Oh, bad feeling time. Remember the testimony concerning Powers' injury? Powers and poor Hammer were at the run-through. Oh, and me. What about the assistant? Oh, her. She was cleaning up backdrops, I think. She didn't know about Powers' ankle. The assistant knew nothing of Mr. Powers' injury. She could look the steel samurai with that costume, but she couldn't walk the steel samurai walk. She wouldn't have him. That kind of takes the legs out from under the case. Mr. Wright, I'm afraid. Dios. Estaré en la mierda, Último chance, the security lady. It was the security lady, Wendy Oldback. Who? The steel samurai is dragging his leg in this picture. That means whoever was in the suit knew about that morning's injury. Maybe because they had been watching the action scene run through. There was only one in person other than Powers and Hammer who knew about the injury. The security lady, Oldback. Estoy intentando hacerlo bien, pero me está saliendo todos los tiros por la culata. What? Wipe snapper? Order, order. Is this true, Oldback? Oldback? That's Mrs. Oldback to you. Mrs. Oldback was standing guard alone at the main gate. She was by herself. In other words, she has no alibi. She could have briefly left her post to steal the steel samurai costume. Then slipped into Studio 1, the scene of murder. Why would she go through the trouble of wearing the steel samurai costume? Simple, Your Honor. She knew the camera at the gate would take her picture if she was in the costume. If she wasn't in his costume, he could point the finger at Mr. Powers. I see. Excellent detective reasoning, Mr. Wright. Oh yeah, right here. Sherlock Holmes 2, baby. That's odd. Isn't this the part where Edgeworth pounces? Doesn't he usually jump up with an objection on some new damning evidence? Well, Mr. Edgeworth, does the prosecution have an opinion on this matter? The prosecution has no meaningful objections at this time. What? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, so you all think I did it? Is that it? Edgy boy, don't just sit there, do something. What's my move? Maybe now's my chance to take this whole thing. Press further. Edgeworth no me está dando caña. A ver cómo es, The very same reasoning that makes Mr. Powers a suspect in this case can be used to cast doubt on Mrs. Oldback's actions on that day. But why would I do something so horrible to poor Hammer? You forget that Mr. Powers lacks a clear motive too. Indeed. That did it. Now Windback is one of the suspects. No hard feelings, I hope. Wait just a minute. What about the other person who went to the studio? The boy? The one whose photo I erased? He's only a grade schooler, though. As you said, 2nd or 3rd grade, was it? That doesn't matter. When I was at that age, I could pin my old man in 10 seconds tops. Your thoughts, Mr. Wright? That boy is not the killer. What? How can you be so sure? Oh, is it to be nice to the kids and mean to your elders, eh? Wipe snapper? I have proof. But proof? Indeed. Then let's see the proof, Mr. Wright. You have proof that shows the boy could not have committed the murder? This is my proof. I can't see anything. Oops. A ver si tengo que guardar o mira, la estoy liando, ¿Esto? The scene of the murder, as we all know, was Studio 1. However, you need a card key to enter Studio 1. How could a boy with no formal relation to the studios have a card key? I see. Well, would the witness care to comment on this? The windbag, speechless. He has got to be a first. Very well. This court will suspend proceedings on the current trial for today. Mr. Edgeworth, please find out more about your witness, Mrs. Windy. What was her name? Something Oldback, Your Honor. Then the prosecution will look further into this Oldback before we continue. That is all. This court is adjourned. Wait a second. ¿Cómo? I'm not going to just sit here while you run off barking up the wrong tree. Me? I'm talking. Oh great. Stop the presses. The windbag wants to talk. Mrs. Oldback? What is this all about? Have you omitted something from your testimony? Actually, if you must know, there is something I was told not to talk about. Not to talk about? But by whom? By... You mean it was an Edgeworth who told her not to talk? Well, testify. Dios con estos casos, cuidado, A ver, my lips were sealed. Global Studios wanted me to keep quiet about something. There were some other people at the studios on the day of the murder. They said they had nothing to do with it, see? A ver, hablo. Ahora me escucharé un poco mejor. So they told me, just pretend they hadn't been at the studios that day. But if you're going to go accusing me, I'm not letting them get away scot-free. Mrs. Oldback, this is crucial information. Why did you keep this from the court until now? And you've been listening? They told me to shut my trap, and I always do what I'm told. No, this isn't a bad dream, Your Honor. You witnessed the power of the Oldback. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination. Quinta ronda. Vale, por si acaso voy a guardar, ¿vale? Porque estoy a una cagada de irme a tomar por saco, así que no quisiera yo tenerlo mal. So you were told not to talk. That's right, by the studio on the TV Pinkwigs, no less. Why didn't I hear about this? Don't be too hard on yourself, Sonny. We were all in it. We were all in on it. There were some other people. ¿Quiénes? A ver, cuéntame. Who were these people? Well, the director and the producer for starters. The director? We should have known something was fishy. How could they have done a run-through of their action scene without the director? Of course. Yes, well, I was surprised no one asked about it. So where were these people? The director was in the employee area all morning for the run-through. He joined the producer around lunchtime and they had a meeting after that. Where? Oh, in the Studio 2 trailer. Studio 2? There was a Studio 2, of course, yes. Well, if you look at the guide map, here it is. You go through the gate, all the way to the left. The path where the monkey's head was fallen over. Well, Mr. Wright, would you like to continue the cross-examination? I think I've already asked all my questions, but I'll hacer un poquito más, por si acaso. Yeah, I'm through with it. Mrs. Oldback, this is a trial for murder. I know that's silly. Still, they were pretty convincing about having nothing to do with it, and they gave me a little bonus on the side. So you got your bonus and you still talked. I think I've asked all my questions. Una más por si acaso. Them? Who were these people? Ya me lo ha dicho. Este ya me lo he pasado, vale. Pues nada, que take a break. Your Honor, we have learned there were others at the Global Studios on that day of the question. The director and the producer and some bigwigs were all present. Yet, as we stand here, they have not been questioned. I hold that it is impossible to declare a verdict on the defendant, Mr. Powers. The court acknowledged the defense point. This position will gather for more information about the witness, Mr. Allback, and more information about these other people we have just been told of. I understand, Your Honor. This ends the day's proceedings in the trial of Mr. Will Powers and this video. This is all. This court is adjourned. Vale, pues hasta aquí el vídeo de hoy. Vamos a ver cómo sigue. Thank you so much, Mr. Wright. I was right to ask you to defend me. Oh, really? It's nothing. Or should I? We'll be going down to the studios to do some more investigating. We have to find out more about this director and the producer. They'll be turning up in the next trial as witnesses for certain. So now's my chance to get material for the cross-examination. So Nick, have we figured out just who it was in that steel samurai costume? Could it really have been Old Wingback? What do you think, Mr. Powers? I don't think it was her, really. Neither do I, Nick. Yeah, I know. Look, I was just buying time back there. Es que yo pensaba que era el niño o la chica, no sé, me he autoconvencido, pero no era ninguno de los dos, vaya. Someone had to be the bad guy for a bit to take the pressure off Mr. Powers. Poor old Wingback. I feel kind of sorry for her. Well, she wasn't winning any points in there, with or without my accusation. Okay, let's get down to the studios. Right, we'll be back to visit you soon. Thanks guys. To be continued. Ahora sí que sí, hasta aquí el episodio de hoy. Muchas gracias por ver el episodio, espero que os haya gustado, que lo hayáis disfrutado. Dadle un like, suscribiros para más y nos veremos en el tercer día, bueno, el segundo día, en el día de la segunda investigación. A ver qué conseguimos. Así que gracias por todo y nos vemos hasta la próxima. Adiós.